FYF Sports, man. We back with another video, man. Today again, we're gonna be just giving you guys an update on how some of our fantasy FanDuel lineups have been doing. And again, like we said before, we don't like to just show you guys how we create our lineups. We actually like to show you guys some of the results of some of our lineups. And this is a lineup that we did for August 7th, 2020, with today's slate of games. As you can see, there were some good matchups that if you could look through our picks, and we're going to break down how we made each pick and why we made those particular picks, and we'll just kind of go from there. But before we even get started with these lineups, make sure you guys subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you're new to this channel, just know that these videos right here, when we do these FanDuel sleeper picks and when we do these recaps, again, we like to show you guys how we create our lineups, and we like to show you the results as well. Again, I don't want to profess that we have some secret system that just all out gives you the first place lineup every time. No, we give you strategies that we use to just give you optimal lineups. And again, today we did two lineups. This lineup right here actually did it did fairly decent. There were a few things that we could have switched up and changed up to make it a little bit better. Only thing we can do when we see our lineups is find ways to tweak it and make it better. Stick with our base strategy, and then just kind of go from there. But as you see today, with today's slate of games, obviously we had Washington, New Orleans, which when you see teams like Washington play in New Orleans, that's going to be a high-scoring game. New Orleans like to pick up the pace. Washington gives up a lot of points. We have Sacramento, Brooklyn. This is definitely a game that we thought that Sacramento would be able to win. We have the OKC Memphis game. Turned into a blowout. Obviously, OKC was down Steven Adams, so there were some opportunities at the center and power forward position there. And there were just a number. There were a number of games today where we felt that we could take advantage of those matchups and this is how we created this particular lineup. It actually turned out we got 355th place out of 160,875 people. We won $30 on a $3 entry. So $30 on a $3 entry. That's actually not bad at all. We won 10 times our money. So whenever you can win 10 times your money back, that's a good day, especially when we only put in two lineups, and we actually won money on both lineups. So that was a $6 investment turned into $35 back. So whenever you can get a positive back like that, and you can win 10 times your money back, over 10 times your money back like that, hey, that's a good day on FanDuel. You take whatever you can get. You're not always going to get first place, but again, it's just about them slow gains. So you don't always have to try to go for the home run lineup on FanDuel. Sometimes you'll have that one lineup that just creeps up into the top 10, and you'll do way better. But again, the goal is just to try to profit off each lineup, create the best lineup for every lineup that you put in. So today, our first pick of the day was Ish Smith, and this is the opportunity. The decision making that went into Ish Smith today was if you look at his salary is $5,300. Okay, so that's a fairly low salary for a starting point guard. So when you're looking at a starting point guard for a Washington team, they allow a lot of points, but they also put up a lot of points as well. And when I saw that New Orleans defense for whatever, ever since they've been back in the bubble, their defense hasn't been the same. Normally they have a pretty stout defensive backcourt with Lonzo Ball and Drew Holiday, but for whatever reason, since they've been back in the bubble, they just have not been able to find any rhythm offensively or defensively. And I know New Orleans put up 118 points today, and you may think they played great. They definitely did not play great today. Lonzo Ball played terrible. Drew Holiday just, again, nothing looks fluid. So they ended the day, they just beat a really, really bad Washington team. They were able to put up a lot of points, or enough points to win, but they allowed 107 points to a depleted Washington team. We saw Ish Smith at that $5,300 price, going for a balanced lineup today. going for a very balanced lineup today. I felt that he had a high opportunity to give us not just points, but he's known for filling up the stat sheet across the board when he's given the opportunity to play. So you see this point right here, 49.2. This is far above what I expected out of Ish Smith. It selected him at 5,300. I was expecting maybe a total of about 35 FanDuel points. So when he hit 49, I was ecstatic. Turned out to be a great pick. Next up, we got Darren Fox. Now with Darren Fox at 8,000, he was one of the more expensive point guards on the day. This we probably could have went down to a cheaper point guard for the production that he gave us. I mean, he looks like he had a great stat line today. 21 points, 7 assists, 2 rebounds, 1 steal. But the 3 turnovers definitely hurt his overall point total. And again, for that $8,000 price, whenever you're buying up for guards at that $8,000 range, especially in this bubble setting, you really need to make sure that your guards can exceed 40 FanDuel points on the night. And unfortunately, he did not exceed that. Again, he really hurt us today. With the rebound category, we expected a few more rebounds, especially for the minutes that he plays. And he really hurt us there. So, again, when you pick a player like Darren Fox, usually I saw the Brooklyn matchup, and I thought he was going to have more of a scoring impact. The scoring impact with Darren Fox, typically I felt it would come because they're down a lot of guys. So they're short bodies. They're short scoring. They don't have a lot of depth. Buddy Hield isn't playing too great right now. Bogdanovich isn't playing his best basketball right. For whatever reason, they haven't been able to find their touch. So I expected him to have a big game, bigger than what he did. And for them to essentially get blown out by Brooklyn is a big-time surprise. And it really hurts their chances of making that play-in game for the playoff bubble setting. But Darren Fox definitely let us down. There were some other point guards that we could have chose at a lower price that could have helped us out. But for him to get up to 33, I mean, it didn't kill our lineup, but with his price, I wish I could have paid down for somebody who was a bit cheaper. Dylan Brooks has been my go-to for the last couple nights. When I look at Dylan Brooks, man, the guy, to fill it up the stat sheet, for him to put up 22 points. And the main thing with Dylan Brooks is his price. Man, 5,200. So for a guy to put up almost 40 FanDuel points at 5,200, again, the best thing that I see is this 6.6% right here. That means he was only in 6.6% of lineup. So that means a lot of people were not really focused on putting Dylan Brooks in their lineups today. And when you're looking at a team where Jaren Jackson is out, they're looking for more scoring on that perimeter. And there are a lot of guys that they've been counting on are just not coming through. Dylan Brooks, for the last couple of games, he's been coming through, putting up some monster FanDuel games. And again, I don't know why more people aren't using him, especially at that price, and especially since they were playing an OKC team that was depleted on the interior. We know Dylan Brooks likes to attack that. He likes to attack from the nail. He likes to attack from the short corner. And again, he lit Memphis up. I mean, he lit OKC up, and OKC, put Nerlens Noel in foul trouble, so he was limited with what he could do on the interior, and then turned into a blowout. I wish some of these games were not blowouts, because when they're not blowouts, you'll see some of these players like Dylan Brooks and Ja Morant stay in the game just a little bit longer to give you some more FanDuel points. But for the most part, the 36.2, I'll definitely take it at the $5,200 price. My next point guard was Jrue Holiday. Obviously, I like the Washington-New Orleans matchup, because whenever teams play Washington, you can always almost assume that these are going to be high-scoring games, and that's what you want when you're playing FanDuel. You want high-scoring games, because that just simply means more points, more rebounds, more steals, more everything across the board for some of the players that you select. So with Jrue Holiday, price at $7,700, he did exactly about what I expected him to do. Now, to exceed his value, he probably would have needed to get into the 50s, but the 42.6 was solid. I'll take that. He had definitely a good night. And the one thing that I like about Jrue Holiday, that he likes to fill up the stat quality, and he's always bound to get steals and blocks. Blocks are worth 3 points, steals are worth 3 points. So he has a total, and those defensive stats gave him 9 points. Now, the stat that hurt him for the day was the 7 turnovers. If you add that 7 to this score right here, that almost puts him at 50 FanDuel points. That's what I would have hoped to see out of him. So, man, the 7 turnovers is really high. Again, this New Orleans teams, for whatever reason, they've been playing sloppy. They've been playing a lot of ISO ball, and that 7 turnovers definitely shows it. That 7 turnovers definitely does not happen if they get back to that free-flowing offense that they normally like to play. So we got Drew Holiday, 42.6, decent. The 7 turnovers, he made up for the 7 turnovers, but I would love to see that turnover number go down. That would have definitely helped his output for the day. Next up, I got Troy Brown. Troy Brown, again, a lot of people are opening their eyes up to Troy Brown, especially on this Washington team that's really depleted. They're really, really searching for scores. No Bradley Beal, no Davis Bertans. Roy Hachimura has been struggling from game to game. He's been inconsistent. Some games he has it, some games he doesn't. So, again, Troy Brown's almost been their go-to scorer. So, 44.5, especially at his price point. Look at his price point, $5,800. For him to give you 44 FanDuel points, that's beautiful right there. That's what you want to see. 22% of lineups. Again, primarily this guy, when he plays big minutes, when Washington scores a lot of over 100 points, you can almost bank on Troy Brown having at least 20 points that game. And for him to get 10 rebounds, and man, I'm telling you right there, when games pick up in pace, when you're going high speed and you're going up and down a lot, there are more opportunities for rebounds, assists, steals, all of those other categories, even for guards, point guards, small forwards, and shooting guards. Again, so you want to keep that in mind. Be mindful of pace of play. Do these teams have a tendency to give up a lot of points? Do they have a tendency to score a lot of points? Make sure you're considering that as you create your lineups. And those matchups are key when you understand those matchups. Next up, I had Tobias Harris. Now, my reasoning for picking Tobias Harris today is a little bit different from some other people. I love picking people in grudge matches. So whenever a player can play against his former team, I love to pick them because I always get the sense that they're going to be going after it just a little bit more. And today it actually panned out for Tobias Harris. Now, the one thing that I really wish Tobias Harris would have filled up the stat category with at least 2 steals, maybe 1 or 2 blocks, and that would have turned a great night into a monster night for Tobias Harris if you add 9 to 10 points in defensive stats on here as well. But for him to get 45 FanDuel points at that price point, man, Tobias Harris, with Ben Simmons out, you want to keep picking Tobias Harris. His price is only going to go up from here. So if they can keep his price under $7,000, Tobias Harris is almost an absolute must play, especially when Ben Simmons is out. His usage goes sky high. He's the next go-to scorer, other than Joel Embiid. So you as long as his price stays this low, you got to keep picking Tobias Harris. As you can see tonight, 23 points, 15 rebounds. 23 points and 15 rebounds alone is a great night. But to add 4 assists, I wish he would have had some steals and blocks. That would have made it better. Philly pulled out the win in a grudge match game. So, man, be mindful of where players used to play. If you know a player used to play for a certain team and they're matched up, you may want to really look at that matchup, especially if that player's going to be getting more usage. All right, next up, we got Brandon Clark. Now, as you can see, Brandon Clark definitely disappointed me today. He definitely disappointed me today because, when we're talking about a Memphis team that just lost Jaren Jackson. Brandon Clark's being thrusted into that starting role. His price point was perfect. I thought he was primed to have a big night, primarily because OKC was Steven Adams was out for OKC. Because Steven Adams was out, I'm thinking that Brandon Clark can do more damage on the interior. Nerlens Noel was prone to fouling a lot, and he actually did get in foul trouble. But it was more so Valanciunas taking advantage of that matchup as opposed to Brandon Clark. So Brandon Clark had a very average game, 12 points, 8 rebounds. He didn't give much on the defensive end, no steals, no blocks, definitely no assists. So 19.1, again, that's what really hurt this lineup. Obviously in hindsight, we can always go back in hindsight and look at players we should have picked. What I should have done in this particular situation, I should have stayed consistent with the New Orleans and Washington matchup, putting Roy Hachimura here in this spot where he actually went over 30 FanDuel points would have been perfect. because, again, when you understand matchups, and I should have stayed consistent with my philosophy instead of going with the opportunity pick. The opportunity pick was Brandon Clark. He didn't pan out. Roy Hachimura would have definitely been the better choice. Again, it's just about thinking it through and staying consistent. I went away from the consistency and I went with Brandon Clark, and it actually hurt me in this situation. Next up, we got Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum gave us 35.4 FanDuel points tonight. Now, it looked as if Jason Tatum was primed to have a big night. At halftime, he was going on 20 FanDuel points. Usually, when they're going on that many FanDuel points, you're looking at a 40 to 50 point night. This game just got out of hand quick. I don't know what Toronto was doing. I don't know what Toronto had going on, but early on in the fourth quarter, this turned into a complete blowout. And whenever you have those blowouts in FanDuel, you hate to see those blowouts in FanDuel, because you know that your best players that you have picked, unless they're a bench player, they're going to be sitting on the bench in that fourth quarter. They're not going to give you much more production. So in this particular game, I was lucky for Jason Tatum to exceed 35 FanDuel points, especially at that price, $7,500. He was the highest priced power forward today. This was probably the hardest position to pick today, just because there just weren't a lot of options. It was just about hitting on the right combination. So again, like I said, if I stuck with my formula, I would have combined him with Roy Hachimura. That would have helped me out a lot right there. But Jason Tatum, obviously you can't go wrong with him. He's never really going to be a bad pick. But there are some nights where he just goes cold from the field. He can't make a shot. So when you're picking Jason Tatum, you always have to look at the opportunity and matchup. And my thinking behind this particular pick right here was this game matters for both teams. Both teams are kind of playing for seeding and positioning. So it definitely mattered. But for whatever reason, Toronto allowed this game to get far out of hand. Those Toronto players just weren't in sync or into it. And Boston came out and just absolutely destroyed them in the second half. All right, my last pick of the day. This was a pick that I really, really had to think on. But because I maintained, there were a lot of other tempting picks. Especially at center today. When you're looking at Joel Embiid, when you're looking at Nikola Vucevic for Orlando, even Derek Favors at centers. Playing against Washington. We know Washington struggles to guard centers, but my consistency was, we got to go off Thomas Bryant. Thomas Bryant has been playing great basketball lately, extremely good basketball lately. Not to mention the fact that the opportunity of this matchup, we know New Orleans like to get up and down. New Orleans, their shots haven't been falling like we want them to see. So there's opportunity for a lot of rebounds, and as we see, he got 8 rebounds. I would have liked to see him get at least 10 rebounds, but 22 and 8, I can't complain. And we know that New Orleans is prone to turnovers and leaving shots up in the air to get blocked. And 2 steals, 2 blocks on the defensive end, that's those exact numbers that you want from a guy like Thomas Bryant, because it's not given on any given night that he's going to give you 22 points. But when he can give you 22 points and 8 rebounds and combine that with 2 steals and 2 blocks, then that's a great FanDuel night. Now, Thomas Bryant, obviously, FanDuel recognizes that this guy's been producing of late. This guy's been putting up monster stat lines lately, and FanDuel is catching on to that. His price is only going to go up higher. So because he's not that usual low price that we're normally used to seeing, you want to be careful about picking Thomas Bryant at center. You really got to think these center spots through. The NBA is different. It's not a post game. Thomas Bryant is one of the best players in the league playing off that pick and roll. And today he was playing with Ish Smith. This Ish Smith, I'm telling you, even though Ish Smith can score the ball, he's a great passing guard who loves to dump the ball off the bigs in the post for easy buckets. And Thomas Bryant, in that combination with him and Ish Smith, they've been thriving off that. Especially when they're playing teams that struggle to guard the pick and roll on the defensive end. So it's just about studying teams, studying how they defend, understanding that teams like New Orleans right now, because they haven't found cohesiveness or chemistry on the defensive or offensive end, this is a team you want to pick. You want to pick players against them. Again, because of the pace of play, because of their ability to turn over the ball, more missed shots. So you want to see any matchup against New Orleans, you want to try to pick some of those players, especially if they have high usage, and just go through there. So again, our night tonight on FanDuel, a pretty serviceable night. 355th place in the $3 tournament, $3.33 tournament. Again, you can't complain. Wish we could have made a few changes, but again, FanDuel is all about hindsight. You can always go back and say, if I would have did this, if I would have did that, the lineup would have been better. Again, there are so many ifs in this, but again, right now, you just got to take what you can get with FanDuel. If you put together some great lineups, if you can win on all the lineups that you enter for the day, that's a bonus. Even if it's just small incremental dollars that you won for the day, take whatever you can get, and then you want to just build off those strategies. Build your own strategies. Learn player tendencies, and by sticking to those strategies, the one thing that I know about FanDuel is you don't want to jump around strategies. You don't want to try to copy someone else's strategy. Go with what you know. Go with the players that you know. Always be willing to learn. And the best thing that you can do in FanDuel is watch for trends. Watch for tendencies. And when you watch for trends and tendencies in FanDuel, like again, the one thing that I like to pick up on, the one thing I know is that Washington struggles to guard centers. New Orleans struggles to guard to perimeter. New Orleans right now playing bad offensively and defensively. They're giving up a lot of points to even bad teams. Again, even with Sacramento, you want to be mindful of Sacramento. Darren Fox can go hot or cold. He can go hot or cold quick, just like that. He's not always a good go-to pick. Again, Brooklyn, when you see any team matched up against Brooklyn, typically centers do very well against Brooklyn. Unfortunately, at this particular time, Sacramento just doesn't have any legitimate centers on the roster. If a guy like Rashad Holmes was actually playing, he would have been a great pick today against that Brooklyn team, but very depleted. So again, it's just about understanding your matchups. This Dylan Brooks pick actually panned out to be great. See your values when you can get them. You don't want to overload your lineup with too many values. My ratio should be 6 lock picks, 6 players that you can almost guarantee are going to get you their fantasy value for the night. And then you want to have three sleeper picks. So 6 lock picks, 3 sleeper picks. And so my sleeper picks in this particular lineup were Ish Smith, Dylan Brooks, and Brandon Clark. And two of my 3 sleeper picks actually panned out and played decent basketball today, which put me in the money, $30 on a $3 investment. So, hey, that's my FanDuel lineup for today. Guys, man, you need to start sending me, let me know how you're doing on FanDuel. Let me know who your sleeper picks are. Let me know how you're creating and drafting your lineups. And again, if you need assistance building your lineup, if you're new to FanDuel and you want a few tips and strategies, hey, man, hit me up. Let me know. Because what we can do is we can come on live and I can help you in putting together a lineup, and hopefully it does good. I can throw in some of my strategies. I can give you some of my recommendations. But at the end of the day, I want you to build a lineup that you believe in. Those are the best lineups. Some of the best lineups that I've been able to put together are lineups that I just look at and say, I know for a fact this is going to go crazy. Like some of the best lineups I put together, I just look at it and there's a certain feeling you get after you play FanDuel for a while, and you just have confidence in the players you got, and you build around them, and you just know that day your lineups are going to go crazy. And almost every time you have that particular feeling, you usually do pretty good that day. So today was just one of those days where, again, there were a lot of question marks around, guys. Again, not understanding, especially in this particular setting, when you don't know if they're going to sit guys, you don't know if teams are going to come out and play 100%. If they're in the playoffs already, are they going to rest guys? Are guys going to get all their minutes? Injuries play a big part in this as well. So again, be mindful of all of this. Be cautious about using other people's strategies. Develop your own strategy first. Again, just the same way I'm able to talk through every single pick that I made, you should be able to make your FanDuel lineup, and you should be able to talk through every single pick that you made, why you've put this combination of players together, and then how you're going to re-attack it the next day if you choose to play the next day as well. So again, this was a big tournament. You can play in smaller tournaments. You can play in heads-up matches with people. Again, you choose your playing style. You choose what's best for you, and then again, be smart with the money. Again, this is a form of gambling. Be smart with your money. You don't have to invest $1,000 in this and try to win it all in one night. Again, have fun with it. Don't let it stress you out. And if you do good, reinvest your money or pull it out and keep it. It's up to you. But again, I love doing this. For me, it's just a form of therapy. It helps me study the game more, helps me follow trends more with regards to players, what they do, tendencies like that. Again, it's just something to keep my mind active. Again, like I said, I can follow the game more. And also when I talk to you guys about these players and their tendencies, I'm just a bit more informed, because I don't just look at it from a highlight perspective. I actually have to study these guys' tendencies. I have to see how these teams play. I have to understand the flow of the game, offenses and things of that nature. So again, if you want to become more of a basketball expert and understanding these stats, again, play FanDuel. It really helps. It really helps. But hey, another great episode, man. We're going to try to bring you these lineup reviews more and more often. I think the lineup reviews are a bit more interesting than us showing you how we create our lineups, because with this, you can see how we create our lineup, and then you also see the results that follow. And that way you can know if it is working, if it's not working, or if we need to go back to the drawing board. But it's another great episode. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. If you have any questions about your FanDuel lineups, make sure you hit us up on Instagram or Twitter, or just hit us up in the comments of the video. I would love to bring one of you guys onto the show, and we can select a lineup for you live. Hopefully it wins $1 million for you. But it's FYF Sports, and we out.